Hello, everybody. Thank you and welcome. Thank you and welcome. I'll make sure everything is set up on my end to accept anything that's going on your end. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's set up here. So, again, thank you and welcome. Thank you and welcome. Today, we're talking about the silent career killer that no one wants to talk about in healthcare. Listen, y'all know me. I'm going to keep it honest. I'm going to keep it authentic, and I'm going to keep it real. This is a conversation that we truly need to have. It's a conversation that you need to hear. It's a conversation that may or may not impact that next level of your career growth. Healthcare, listen, healthcare is full of the hustle. We know that. It's full of the hierarchy. It's full of the hidden hurdles. And it doesn't always make it into the HR handbook, right? So it's not like HR is coming to you and say, "Here, Patrick, here's a handbook on how to scale and grow your career," or they don't tell you about those loopholes or those hidden things that you really should know about that you haven't been made aware of, right? So we're going to touch on those. Some of these are going to be really bold. Some of these are going to be extremely impactful. Some of these may shock the crap out of you, right? But if you're interested in leveling up and you feel like you've kind of been stuck in neutral for quite some time, then you're in the right place. You're definitely in the right place. So we'll get into this right here. I put some talking points together and I put them together and they're in no particular order. It's just more insight. Okay. So I don't want you to give credence to one more than the other. But what I do want you to think about is how each particular topic has maybe impacted you or maybe could benefit you as you consider what your future growth looks like. So a little bit about me. I spent 6 years in the Army, was a helicopter mechanic. Then I pivoted. I spent 8 years in the mobile home industry as a general manager. Housing market went to crap. Then I pivoted. I spent 15 years in healthcare, rising through the ranks in various segments within healthcare, ultimately landing on healthcare technology, where I became a VP, ran a business unit, had over 8,000 clients nationwide. We were positioning the company to be sold, which we sold the company back in 2018. And as a shareholder, it made it nice for me to be able to now go out here and just kind of give back, help other people scale and elevate their careers as well, right? So, in addition to being a veteran, in addition to being a 15-year career veteran, in addition to understanding the mobile home industry, in addition to speaking and leadership and growing other people's career, I'm also a business owner. So you can check that out as well. My company is PDP Media. And that's P as in Patrick, D as in dog, P as in Patrick Media. And that company was stood up to really help you scale and elevate, whether you're an individual or an healthcare organization and you're looking for branding opportunities. And so check out my page. You can also check out my YouTube. Follow me across all the social media channels, That Healthcare Guy. Connect with me in my content. And then more importantly, if you want to be spotlighted as a business, hey, I'm making my rounds. I'm starting here in Dallas, and then I'm expanding from city to city, state to state. But again, welcome. Thank you for joining. I just want to check my feeds really quick, make sure there's no questions coming in at this point. Excellent. Great. You can raise your hand. I'll wave at you. If I see the question, I'll try to answer it as quick as possible. And if I don't, I can get back to you afterwards. But if you're just now joining today, we're talking about the silent career killers that no one talks about in healthcare. And it's a conversation that needs to be had because most people are not going to break down the game like I'm going to break down the game to you. So I'm going to give you to it in 10 simple steps, okay? Just make sure you drop some comments, tag in if you have questions on this. Or if you got some light bulb or some aha moments during this presentation, go ahead and drop it. Inspire me as well as I get inspired through understanding more about you. So get in here. Listen, being technically good, but politically blind. I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. You're technically good at your job, but you're blind on what the politics of your office is like. So you're a beast at your job. We know that you're good. You're good at charting notes. You're flawless. You're good. You're top tier with patient care. Amazing. Awesome. Your outcomes are clean, right? Even if you're in sales, you've been hitting your quotas. Wow. Kudos to you. But if you don't understand the politics of promotion, you're invisible. I'm going to say that again. If you don't understand the politics of promotion, you're invisible. Y'all please bear with me too, because I'm more of a direct type of style, but I'm a lover too. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to give it to you direct, but I'm also going to love on you afterwards. It's part of my leadership that I've learned You be hard on the process, but soft on the people. So I'm going to give it to you straight. But afterwards, hey, we can celebrate. We can talk about how to help you navigate, get to that next level of your career as well. So not knowing how to navigate that internal power structures or failing to align yourself with key decision makers, it had you watching from the sidelines. You watching from the sidelines while everybody else is getting around you. And this is the part where a lot of us we have to lean into. This is I call this playing the game. Playing the game is really understanding the culture in which you work for, right? Listen, I appreciate you tapping in because that's how I'm going to be. I'm going to be direct. I'm going to keep it straight up. So you got to learn how to play the game. And playing the game is no different than I would say, really, like if you just started dating someone, you're understanding their mannerisms, you're just getting introduced to their family, you understand who's the key decision maker within the family, you understand how to navigate around that person, what to say, what not to say. That's the same thing in a company culture. You have to understand that. But too many times we get in a position, and in that position, we fail to really understand the culture in which we're working for, and then we're wondering why we haven't been promoted. So that's going to be number one for me. It's not in that order, but that's going to be my first talking point. Two, the loyalty trap. Listen, raise your hand if this, if this is where you find yourself. Being loyal to one department, one boss, or one health system too long, listen, that can backfire. They'll praise you for your commitment, but skip you for advancement opportunities because you probably heard this before. You're too valuable to that department. You're too valuable to that organization. Mm-mm. Healthcare, listen, it often rewards those who move, not those who stay. I say that again. You're often rewarded when you make moves versus staying put. Loyalty doesn't equal leverage. And a lot of people believe that. We're in a new time, new environment, and you're thinking, okay, I've been with the company 5 years. I've been with the company 7 years. I've been with the company 15 years. And so that means that I'm going to be next in line for that opportunity. Now, just because you have that time in place, that doesn't equal leverage, right? We'll talk more about that as well. Here's a big one right here. Poor brand management. And I slowed myself down to say that. Poor brand management. If people, listen, if people only know you for your job title, but they don't know you for your value or your vision, you've got a branding problem right there. Your professional brand, it should speak for you when you're not even in the room. People remember you. They know how you think. They know about your contributions to the organization. They know how strategic you are. If people don't know that right there, then you have a branding issue, right? And then this is when it's time to increase your brand awareness so we can level up and get to that next stage in our career. Number 4, over resilience on degrees and certifications. Raise your hand if you know somebody who it feels like they just go to school, right? They got associate's degree, they have a bachelor's degree, they have 2 master's degree, they have a doctor's degree. In fact, they may have 2 doctor's degree, and now they're working on 2 or 3 other professional certifications. You have all this, and you're still stuck, and then you're unfulfilled, and you wonder why you haven't grown because you're so focused on that education piece that you haven't figured out how to navigate that political environment or that cultural environment of the workforce in which you work for. In fact, I just did a poll this week and I was asking people about, what's, most important in the hiring process. What are we looking for? Out of almost 150 votes, only one person selected that education was important. Out of all those votes, only one person said education. So a lot of us, we've been holding ourselves back because we're thinking, man, I'm not going to apply for this job, right? Because it's asking for a master's degree and I only have a bachelor's degree. Well, guess what? People are telling the recruiters are saying it right now. It doesn't even really matter. They're looking for cultural fit. They're looking for attitude. They're looking for vision. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for things like that. Whether or not you fit into the culture, it's not education. So I want to pause you for a minute and ask yourself, is the education that you're going after actually leading to you elevating your career? Or is it just something that where you're spending dollars and cents and you're losing valuable time? CZ King, I see you. Thanks for tapping in. Loving the presentation. Thank you. Appreciate that. It is relative. No, it's not relative to healthcare. It's relative to all excuse me. It's relative to all I can't even get it out. Industries. And you know what it is? Because we're talking about leadership, right? Leadership, it ain't no one size fit all. The tools and techniques that I give you today, it can go across any industry, whether it's automotive, whether that's healthcare, sales. I don't really care what industry it is. You want to take bits and pieces of information and then make it fit for you and how you see yourself leveling up as well. So that was 4. 5. Listen, if I'm hitting some nerves, let me know. It's going to get deeper as we continue on. 5. Avoiding visibility out of fear of bragging. How many of you have accomplished something, right? And you know you've accomplished it. Everybody else know you've accomplished it. But for whatever reason inside of you, you're telling yourself, "Oh, let's not brag about it because I don't want to be this boisterous person that now people are looking at me some type of way." Well, I'm going to ask you this. Did you accomplish that task? Yeah? It's not bragging. You did it. It's not bragging. You need to understand how to leverage that information, though. Now, if you just walk around every single day, you come in an office and you're like, "Hey, y'all remember when I created that spreadsheet and we were able to grow revenue, 10% in quarter 2? I did that," and you talk about it every single day. Yeah, it's bragging. But if it comes time for promotional opportunities, those one-on-ones, maybe speaking up at a round table, and people really need to, you need to remind them your contributions to the organization. That's when it's time to bring it up. Hey guys, this is a great time for me to point out that, in the last time I contributed, we were able to come up with this. We created, a process, a spreadsheet. We grew revenue by 10%. So I have some ideas around the topic that we're talking about today. You bring it up, you talk about what we're trying to pivot to, and then you move on. So it's important that in healthcare or any industry, humility, yeah, it's valued, but being silent about your wins, it only keeps you small. It really does. So closed mouths, they don't get promoted. And what are we going after? We're all trying to get promoted. We're trying to get to that next level. And that's either at ambition or we're looking to grow our salaries. Maybe it's a combination of both. So closed mouths, they don't get promoted. So I want you to advocate for yourself without apology. Be known for impact, not bragging. 6, toxic work culture that punishes ambition. Raise your hand. Anybody ever worked for a toxic work culture? Every time you just walked into the office, you dreaded it, right? At lunchtime, you would go sit in your car or you would find a corner and then you're like scratching your head and asking yourself, what am I doing in my life? Why am I even here? You know that ain't even a culture that wants you there. Some systems, some organizations, they thrive. They truly thrive off you staying in your lane. Thank you for that. The moment you show ambition, they label you as that, oh, he's not a team player because you're ambitious, or you're too aggressive because you're ambitious. So when did ambition become this negative word? It's not, right? But we somehow have processed it internally that ambition equals negativity, or you find yourself in a culture where ambition isn't valued. Guess what? That's time for you to find another organization that values your ambition. Why are we staying there? I'm just going to ask you that. We're going to move on to 7. I can't say they're getting any better or getting any easier, but they're going to be straightforward. 7, stand in clinical roles or any role when you know you're built for leadership. There's so many talented people that for whatever reason, they stay at the bedside, right? Or they're staying in the lab, or they stay in support roles because now it's safe. They're in that safe zone. But deep down, you got vision. Deep down, you have a voice that needs to be heard. Deep down, there's value to be added in a boardroom that can respect what you bring to the table. Listen, not pursuing leadership, it isn't always a lack of desire. So I want to point that out there. It's fear. It's fear that you're not ready. Raise your hand if anybody is, your manager's ever tapped you on the shoulder without you saying anything and said, Patrick, hey, you're ready. And you didn't even ask for it. Those are few and far between. Oftentimes, this is where the advocating for yourself is, right? And actually, when you're not ready for something, that just means we should go after it anyway. Because if you're not ready, how do you know when you are ready? You don't know if you are ready until you actually try to get ready. You attempt to be ready. So that may be actually going after that promotion, right? That may be actually applying for a new job, even though you don't have all the qualifications that they're looking for in that job description. And then what you learn from that is you learn, maybe I've gotten through the interview process and I've been able to get some feedback. So the next time I apply for another executive level, mid-career leadership type of role, I understand it. I understood that, okay, I applied. I didn't have all the credentials, but I still landed an interview. I didn't get the job. However, I got feedback or I learned how people ask questions at the next level of my career. So now I can plan for that next big opportunity. So we have to keep going, taking those at bats. Number 8, lack of mentorship or sponsorship. No mentor? Okay. You're winging it. No sponsor? Okay. You're not even in the running, right? Because mentors, what they give you guidance, and sponsors open doors. Your mentor is going to give you guidance, but if you have a sponsor, that's somebody that's going to open doors for real. Robert tapping in, stepping out of my comfort zone is key for me. Yep, absolutely. It's key for everybody. Most of us, we get in that comfort zone only because it feels good internally because I'm not challenging myself, but mentally you're upset with yourself because you didn't challenge yourself. So your body feels good, but your mind feels weak. And your mind feels weak only because you haven't challenged yourself at that point. So it's going to be so important. So we're looking at mentorship, we're looking at sponsorship. Moving on, number 9, not knowing when to leave. I'll pause there, let that sink in. Not knowing when to leave. This is that loyalty fear, right? Or burnout, that keeps people in these tied into these toxic environments or stagnant in their role, but not knowing when to pivot, man, that'll cost you years. And you heard me right. That'll cost you years stuck in an environment, stuck in a culture, stuck in a place that isn't conducive to your growth is going to cost you years. So this is when we need to know when to leave. If you've tried everything to get promoted within your organization and you're still being passed over for opportunities, it's probably a time for you to leave, right? I'm going to say this here. Some people, they've been in their organization 5, 7, 10, 15, 12, whatever years you've been there, right? And we all want to grow our income, right? Because we know inflation is going up, things are happening in the world. We all want to have a little bit more pocket change, whether that's setting up college funds for our loved ones or, buying that house or, having that down payment on that car that we're looking for. And then we've been in these organizations all this particular time. But what you fail to understand is that the wage gap analysis for your position has changed. You've been there 7 years and you're making $60,000 a year, right? 7 years in, right? Yeah, you have whatever type of degree that gives you $60,000. And then this new hire comes in fresh out of school, and the wage analysis for your position is already elevated. And now starting salaries for that role is 69. And you're thinking, okay, but I've been here 7 years. So aren't they just going to come back and retroactively promote me or scale me up? No. That's that loyalty tax. You've been loyal. And yeah, you continue to get your 3, 4, 5, or 6% increase, but you're not scaled up to 69. I got this new cat fresh out of school. He's at 69. I've been here 7 years and I got 60, right? And then over the course of years, 7 years, you may be at 69, but that same cat, he's at the same salary wage as you, only because that's what the wage is today. So you need to be asking yourself, is this time for me to leave, right? To go to a different organization to increase my salary? Or how do I advocate for myself so I can grow beyond where I'm at today? And then 10, waiting on validation instead of creating opportunities. Too many talented people, professionals, they wait for someone to come and tap them on the shoulder, right? And say, Patrick, it's your time. We ready for you now. We're finally ready for you. Raise your hand, drop it in the box if that's happened to you within the last 4 or 5 years. Like you just got promoted just because they walked up to you, they saw what you brought to the table, and then they said, you know what, this is a cat that we wanna promote. It's few and far between. It normally doesn't happen like that, right? Because in today's hustle, you gotta build your own table. You have to lay out the spread where people know that, man, I can eat at Patrick's table, but I can only eat at his table because he's got everything laid out for me. You're building your own table, and then you're inviting people to join you around your table. What a lot of us do is we're looking at other people's table and we're looking at all the goodies that they have on their table, all the things that they've created for themselves, and we want to join their table just so we can be at the table with them. Well, what about creating your own table? And that's your wins, that's your vision, that's your strategic hustle. Those are those are these are your soft skills, because in soft skills it ain't just about education, it's about networking, it's about culture building, it's about positioning, it's about, I wouldn't say playing the game, it's understanding the environment in which you live in. So those are my top tens. I'll pause there. I'll open it up for questions. I wanted to run through those fairly quickly. I did save a little bit of time right here if you have questions, but I also want to share with you as well. Again, I'm Patrick Hart. Been in the healthcare game for over 15 years. Leadership is my thing. I enjoy talking about it. Make sure you follow, hit the notification bell on any of my social channels as I drop fresh content on a daily basis. But more importantly, use me as an opportunity to help you network. I've been building these relationships across these different social channels for a lot of different reasons. One is for myself, right? I want to see how I can collaborate with different brands, different leaders to help highlight and create opportunities for other people. But two is I want to create it that portal when you tap in with me, you say, you know what, I've been connected with Patrick sometime. I see that he also knows this person over here, and that person over here is actually hiring for a role that I would like to, at least get my name in front of. Use me for that as well. So question here, how does fear factor into the equation? Fear factors into every equation. Fear is the thing that prevents you from dreaming. Fear stops you from dreaming. And I think most of us, we're all dreamers, right? We come into this world, we dream that, man, I mean, because, people ask you as a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And people say, oh, I want to be a dentist. And some people say, oh, I want to be a firefighter. And some people say, I want to be a teacher. Other people say, I want to be a doctor. Some people say, I want to be a NASCAR driver, whatever that is, right? That's where you start dreaming. At some point, for whatever reason, you stop dreaming because maybe somebody shit on your dreams. Maybe somebody made you feel less than, and it took a little zap away from you that prevented you from moving forward, right? We don't want that to happen. That's what fear happens. Fear happens. I'll give you a true example. So my first VP role, I was looking at the job qualifications before I applied for it, and they were asking for stuff that I didn't even have, right? And so I'm looking at my resume, I'm looking at the job description, and fear stuck with me for a minute. And it's like, you know what, Patrick, you're not good enough for this. You're never going to get it. They're not going to call you. Why are you wasting your time, right? That's fear talking to me on my shoulder, right? Why are you wasting your time? Now, action, if you want to combat fear, the only thing you got to do is create action, momentum. Everybody knows this. To beat fear, you have to just do something, whatever that is, but it's got to be different from what you're thinking. And once you start moving, so in that situation, I just applied for the position, got the interview. I realized, man, I'm pretty good at this. I'm really good at interviewing. I can actually do the job. Yes, I don't have all the qualifications, but if I would have stayed still and listened to fear, I wouldn't have been where I'm at today. So I would encourage you today, go out there, face your fears, right? Go out there, do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Go out there and do something that may position you for a greater opportunity. Go out there and network with somebody who's outside of your industry, but you value what they bring to the table. Whether you like the way they speak, they have leadership skills, they have a huge following, or they've created this business model that you can tap into and glean from. go out there and face your fear. So fear plays a huge role in that. I'll pause here for any additional questions before we begin to wrap this up, and I'll go from there. And while we're waiting for these questions to come in, I would like to thank everybody for their time today, this afternoon. I know you can be doing tons of different things, but you're here with me. So I thank you for that. This will be on replay. I would invite you to reshare this with somebody who knows, they're part of that hustle. They're looking to continue to elevate. They're looking to network. They need maybe some insight, or they need some words of encouragement from somebody. I would love to be that person, right? So again, I'm Patrick Hart. Question here: should everyone have a mentor to help them through? And the answer is absolutely yes. If you haven't found a mentor, that should probably be your challenge here in 2025. So we're rolling up on April. You can find somebody. Let's say give you 60 days. 60 days. Only thing you want to do at this point, you want to use your network, right? And then some of your network could be, let's say, here's an easy way to find a mentor. Go to a position that you would have liked to apply for, right? Look on the recruiting site, who's the hiring manager is. Look at, I want to connect with that hiring manager, but then also I want to connect with 3 or 4 other people that work for that organization that may be connected to the hiring manager. Then I'm going to reach out to one of those people that I connected to and introduce myself and say, you know what, I just applied for a position. I'm not sure if, I'm ready for the role, but I think, I would add value to the role. And what I'm interested in doing is I was looking at your background and I see that you're at a level that I haven't accomplished yet. And I would love just to kind of, take some advice from you. Is that okay if we set up a 15-minute call? Right? Not only is that the connection that I just made, but people are generally happy about when you hit them up and say, you know what, I value what you bring to the table. I've been following you. I like everything that you've done. We're human, man. If you validate us, then that validation equals opportunity for time, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for just a small amount of time that I can get on your schedule, and I can learn more information from you. And if you do this like once a week with a different type of connection, what you're gonna gain understanding of how to move beyond where you are, but you're also going to get some insight into how other people similar to you have been able to elevate. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank y'all once again for joining Patrick Hart, PDP Media. Connect with me. I would invite you to continue to like, follow, hit that notification bell. My handlers behind the scenes have told me that we're going to be putting together, I think it's going to be a 2 or 3 day series to give you tips, tricks, and insights on how to scale in and grow your career. So be out on the lookout for that. And I would invite you to attend. That would be more in depth, more one-on-one to give you some of that insight and coaching that you're looking for. And I'm going to say this here. Coaching is not what I do. This is what I just bring to the table because I've been there and done that. So I don't want you to look at me as a coach. I want you to look at me as a resource, maybe even a mentor, as somebody who's going to help you get to the next level. And then if you're a health system and you're looking to spotlight your brain, your organization, take a look at my last portfolio. I got more videos that's going to be released here soon, spotlighting healthcare systems around the world. So I'm not afraid of traveling for that, but I definitely want to help get your brand out there. And so to the next time, thank y'all for joining. I appreciate y'all, and see you on the flip side.